All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Shinsekai Yori, episode 12.
Uh-huh.
Nothing to be nervous about.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
No.
Just a regular conversation when we brought you all here, but you're going to be by yourself.
Yeah. I'm nervous that this is something where Saki is being isolated from the group because there's going to be some threats or some things levied against her or leveled against her that could drive her away from the group and her friends. But the other angle that they could be going for is no, we're going to talk to each of you, but one-on-one so we can see if your stories
line up,
but also like catch you in some lies and stuff. And the worry about this is that we are not so sure about the motivations of all the characters right now in terms of where they want to go with the information that they've been
true.
Gifted with or cursed with.
Although it's probably a good thing that Mamoru isn't here.
True.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't handle this very well.
Yeah.
But
so there's that too.
I'm weirdly optimistic though. I think this is a turning point that could, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be better than the Shun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, conversations in this show with the members of the society, that could lead to some very interesting reveals as well.
Oh, yeah.
So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion.
Okay.
Cool. So, this society works the way it does because we've had tragic incidents in the past that have forced them to alter their rules and become, well, in some ways, willing to change enough to keep these tragedies from happening again.
Right.
Now, it makes sense in that the bloody history of humanity it's post-apocalyptic, kind of thing there that's led to this point is another case example of that as well. But it's now things have scaled down a lot. We're dealing in one person going berserk and killing 1,000 people versus, someone treating themselves as a god emperor and ruling over, portions of humanity and stuff like that. So,
but one of the other things that I like about this is that we got into the details of what karmic demons are versus what ogres are. And given that the karmic demons are a new thing.
Very new.
Like a very new thing.
Yeah.
The
effects of karmic demons has been a thing probably for a while.
Right, but it's specifically taking on this form where it's not just the outside world and all that stuff, but it's like no, it that could be a result of the way that they changed the society to deal with the ogres, right?
You know what's really fucked about this? This is something that I think I predicted a while ago, or we just talked about it a while ago, was that if you have the subconscious leaking out and affecting the environment out there, right?
Right.
One of the things that would do is then it would build more rumors and things that then would feed into the kid's subconscious, perpetuating the problem, meaning that this is an acceleration thing. This is actually going faster and faster.
Exactly. We had, 20 years ago, first karmic demon, then Shun becomes a karmic demon. Oh, now Mamoru, might become a karmic demon. It's something where most of the time when I see stories where you have the young generation and they need to
overturn the old and bring their new thing to.
Usually it's more like burn the old and then make something new, right? And that's easier to tell a story that way because you don't actually need to go into the details of what the new order will be. It's just make the old order so bad that it's just you gotta completely get rid of it,
right?
And then that's an upgrade inherently, right?
But then it's the thing of wait, why was the old even there to begin with if it was so bad?
Exactly, and why do you think you'd be able to do any better? Whereas in this case, what I feel like it's set up to be is that we built a society that can deal with the ogres, but we don't actually know how to deal with karmic demons. We have a way to deal with it, but that's very much a new thing. It needs to be adjusted and fixed and things like that. Yeah. And that's what Saki and the adventure of her friends and all of this will be able to help address, right? And so that way it's the fixing the old society, but also integrating into it and not just, cutting off from it.
Which is what they want.
Yeah, that's what they want. That's what society wants.
In some ways, the freaky thing about this is that the grandma gave such a convincing argument for this society to Saki that she might have just won the battle that she's fighting in the mind right now, which is I need to be the one to directly talk with her. And then other people are like, be very careful. What you do here has potentially grand implications. And the thing is that it might already be too late in some ways, but it also could be a thing of where it's no, she won so dramatically here that Saki is going to not only lose all of her friends, but also harden the hold of this society on the people there, because she's going to be like, no, I'm going to be the best at this.
Right.
I'm going to make sure that it'll be the perfect little utopia, and I'm terrified what happens when we've lost Mamoru, for instance, and then it's Maria, we need to take away your memories. Like, we need to we need to do something with her, and it's Saki's going to watch it happen. Like it's going to be a.
And this is I love that. I love Saki being special in this particular way, being the reason for why they were allowed to continue with their little escapades, right?
Well,
it's okay.
Kinda.
We'll mitigate. We'll make sure that the potential harm from the stuff that they've done is removed as much as possible. But this girl is responding very well to what's going on. She, like, the society understands its own limitations, and that if it doesn't evolve, it will die.
Right.
And so seeing someone that's like, no, this is someone for the next generation that can like, they can handle the burden of all of the stuff that we would need to give them.
But those observations came about more and more as she got into these shenanigans. So in a lot of ways, it's not that they were intentionally setting her up to bump into these things. It was no, we've just been watching you closely.
Yep.
There's only been really one time that they needed to be punished, which was the false Minashiro kind of moment there.
Right.
But it's okay, now we need to bring her into the fold. So we've kind of crossed that bridge of like the halfway point. You're now an adult. Not in the full sense, but in we're going to bring you through the introductory course.
Right. You're a teen and we're starting to treat you like an adult. So here you go. I love it. I love it too, but it's so terrifying because this society has some things about it that I feel like are still being held back from Saki, and yet she kind of tried to, from my perspective, give her a simple, quick answer to a whole bunch of things, but focused so much on the outside or internal threats, if you will, that she didn't really discuss too much on how this society might basically perpetuate itself because it believes it's the only way to do things. Well, right.
But it's wait, but why are we in this space to begin with? What aren't we kind of perpetuating the problem by creating a barrier of sorts, and or are we being held back by things that it feels like she was avoiding a lot of the existential philosophical questions by just talking about the practical, because that's what her job is.
I actually appreciated that.
No, I appreciate that, but I just think that she was waging psychological warfare here to try and keep her focused on specific parts of the discussion here, and not have her start asking questions about the world itself, rather than these are our immediate threats. This is what my job is in this sense here, because of the shun kind of thing that brought this all about.
Okay, I like the vibe that I got from it was that it was the conversation felt like a few things. One, it actually felt surprisingly like respectful.
Yes.
Like I'm treating this
is a very important conversation.
This is an important conversation. Right. I believe you can handle it. You should also value that you can handle it, because not a lot of people can.
Right.
Here's the situation. Yes, there are some things that I can't talk to you about. Right. But anything that I can, here you go. Right.
Well, but that's the whole point, is that the things that she decided to talk about are the things that were relegated to shun, rather than asking, why is it that after, all this stuff has happened here and things like that. You guys essentially let Shun get to that point.
Well,
do you have any thought towards using your abilities to figure out a way to treat people rather than actually just
sure
too late, we kill you, we excommunicate you, we are the weak must die, it gets really gross where I love the idea that Grandma is trying to basically treat her with the utmost respect and being like, hey, I'm elevating you to the adult level, right?
Yeah.
But also there's some honeyed words, like a lot of honey being tossed on them to basically take a society where we terminate the weak, basically, for the purpose that, if they were, allowed to get to what they do, then we would all be at risk, which is, yes, understandable. But also, what are you doing for the long-term solution there? No, nothing. We just kill him. It feels so much like a test to see if she's able to kind of survive the moral kind of conundrum that's being presented to her, and just saying, here's the solution, just don't think about it, move along, and it feels really unsettling.
Okay, good to know, because I didn't get that vibe from it. Like I guess the reason why I was very accepting of the things that she was saying, there's lots of times where you'll have these kinds of equivalent conversations in storytelling.
Yes.
And then, it basically just all turns into the join me, Obi-Wan, and together we can destroy the Sith, or whatever, right? And then it's like, okay, yeah, that's not gonna happen. But I didn't get the vibe that she was actually demanding any kind of response from Saki, or that she believe in what she's doing. It's here's what we have been doing. And yes, we kill them. We use the monster rats to do it. It's like, okay, all right. Here's the situation, and this society is currently, you have the society that you have now, right? Figure out how you're going to handle this new information, and I believe you will be able to handle it.
Yeah,
right.
That's what this all was. It was a test to see how she would handle the information.
Right.
But I believe it was not it was very matter of fact and cold hard data, rather than breaking down a lot of maybe the ways in which they came about the process. This is my thing where I have to think a little bit outside the box and go into the meta here a little bit, is that in order to communicate this exposition in a timely manner, there's some things that are being sidestepped just to be fast and to the point. And yet for me, this is a very philosophical show, so I kind of want the philosophical angle to be more discussed. But because I think of who she is as a character, they're using this as she's very much like Saki in that regard. She's very much able to handle all of this. This is a very just cut and dry situation. It is what it is. There's not much. It feels like she's basically saying, you don't have a choice here. This is the way things are going to go. This is the way things will continue to go. You are going to take my position at some point. Because did you notice how in the beginning she's like, I would like you to take my position. And then at the end of it, she says, you have no choice. Like, I feel like she was subtly...
Did she say you have no choice, or you'll come over to my side eventually?
Yes, basically.
Well, no, but I think but those are very different things.
Well,
right?
I know,
there's
there's
the society that's like, get in line, you don't have a choice, and then there's I was in your position once too, and I'm here now.
Right.
And I thought the same things you do. I would say it's a reductive approach that adults take a lot of the time, but they have a reason to be reductive, right? So different person, different choices that they can make, things like that. You're different people, so you can't actually use your own experience to say that you can state with certainty that this will happen. And yet, play the odds, you'll probably end up in my job.
Yeah. Yeah, chain always breaks at the weakest link. We all must be conscious of the weakest among us.
And I love that line because on its own, that can be a very heartwarming thing. Look out for the people that, are maybe not doing so well, right? But in this society, no, it's we look out for them because we might end up needing to send in monster rats to kill them.
Yeah, I could never do what you do. I know how you feel. I felt the same way once. But the time will come when you won't have a choice.
Right.
Because you're the only one who can do this. This is very much a thing that's adjacent to Chosen One, kind of.
Oh, sure. Destiny and all that.
Destiny and all that, which is a manipulative weapon, for sure. And that is something that she could be doing as a, hey, brace yourself. But the reason why she's doing that is out of fear. It is not a thing that she's doing because this is the best way to do this. It's no, we've hit a point where I needed to have this conversation with you. Things were going to go much worse if I didn't. I feel like I've handled this well. I'm trying to speak from her perspective here. But then it's no, she's starting to reject it. I recognize this from my past when something similar happened. But she herself is a part of the problem because she's repeating the past. She's literally saying, this all happened before, it will all happen again. I'm going to do this way because we've kept things going this way and it's just fine. But the karmic demon situation is accelerating. This is something that is...
Well, and with regards to that, I kind of give the society a bit more of a pass on that because if she's as old as she is, she's been in this position for a while. The first karmic demon showed up 20 years ago. They don't necessarily know that Mamoru is going to become a karmic demon.
Shun was just a karmic
demon. Shun was just a karmic demon, but like if you just had a first one like 20 years ago, right? Maybe Shun was like the next karmic demon that happened, or there had been like a couple in between.
No, I think
so. It's like, oh shit, that happened. We want that to happen as little as possible, or zero if possible.
Right.
But
right.
I think after what happens with Mamoru, that's where they're going to realize, this is a new emergent thing that originally we thought we could deal with. And then it's going to be no, we actually can't. And maybe, if this is accelerating, maybe it's as a result of the way that we changed things to deal with the ogres.
Sure.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Our society needs to evolve.
Yeah. And I think that there was a stark lack of that approach.
And I would
which means in general she's trying to manipulate Saki, in my opinion, to get about the best result for things to continue the same way that they have been.
I attribute that more to ignorance on her part.
On Saki's part?
No. On the lady's part.
But she knows they can't deal with karmic demons. She knows they don't have a plan for it.
Totally.
Like that's in the way that she brings
this
up.
But just because you don't have just because you don't have a perfect plan for how to deal with them, if the way that you deal with them is just, it's not a kind of thing that will actually destroy our entire society. Like it's not an ogre rampage. It's the, oh shit, this went bad.
We're just gonna start giving everybody blanks in their memories.
I mean, if that keeps people from dying, it's that's a pretty good.
I'll just say they didn't do that with the ogres, and I think there's a reason for it. It's because they see it as very much this is the solution that we give to those of you that are the strong. To those that are the weak, now then we just kill you. This is a situation that spirals out of control very, very quickly. I think that the reason as to why they've been doing it this way with the ogres feels like a situation that's also a bit precarious, but it's more on the area of where you need to basically keep very close watch on the monster rats in general to make sure that you've got a good handle on that side of things.
Sure.
But given that ogres aren't around really as much right now, they've probably moved away from that as being their primary focus.
Like the way I see it is that the in the situations with the karmic demons, you still have an actual person that you're like working with, right?
Right.
And so they are interested in stopping the things that are happening, right? And so, you have a situation where like say 10 people die, right? Still very bad that 10 people are dying, but it's 10 people, not 1,000, right? And so then with the karmic demons, it's the more like soft approach essentially, where it's the this is happening and this is, if we're having a karmic demon every 5 years or something and 10 people die, but we're not having any ogres where thousands of people die.
No, I get that. They're two completely separate issues in my mind. Again, ogres have something to do with something just being wrong in the brain on a conscious level. There was something that they were testing, and they were able to tell that the personality of the kid was off. He was under a lot of stress. He was getting actively abused by his mother. There was elements that were there that could be addressed in the society. Yes. A subconscious thing is something that they have no way of knowing how to specifically address it. But it could be something that they would try to treat. And I personally see it as an element of where the society is bound to fail because the subconscious element of all these kids, all these people here, will consistently leak out into the external environment.
I agree that this society is bound to fail as it is now, and that's why the story's being told.
Right.
I don't see it as a problem on her part that she doesn't quite realize that yet.
Oh,
because I kind of saw it as the opposite with the Karmic Demons, where because it's the subconscious and so it's hard to observe. How do you do preventative measures when you don't know that the thing is happening?
But they've known for 20 years that this is
no, but you don't know on like an individual basis. You might know like
yes, of course.
So try and do things in a general like measures and stuff. So things are happening that could be disruptive. All right, we'll just wipe the memory so that way hopefully no subconscious shit happens from here. Okay, and that's
that just leads to personally in a very weird kind of way of this, and this is something that I feel like they have to explore. They have to. This is something that just makes so much sense. If your brain can recognize a gap in your memories, like something's off, your subconscious will start to freak out.
That's true.
That just makes perfect sense. I feel like they are putting Band-Aids on like under the skin cysts and stuff, and they're putting shit under the rug. It is literally a cover-up situation.
That is probably the biggest thing that I think Saki could have brought up to refute it is but the memory thing isn't working.
Yeah, it literally does not work right now.
Like I like it as I personally, Jacob, think that that's an actual like that is for a fucked up situation like that. That's a pretty good like way to address it in an as humane way as possible. It lowers your quality of life, but it's not truly permanently, like
lethal injection was the other method.
Exactly, right. It's the
things other than that look preferable.
Yeah. Oh, but shit, that's not working. And so if you then do that, then doesn't that actually just sort of force more shit into the subconscious where then it maybe causes all these problems? And that's then the struggle that I see them potentially being able to work on in this situation. And who knows, maybe she'll get a lot less understanding when Saki's like, no, this society has problems. It's not addressing these issues.
Again, that's the thing I was bringing up, is that I think she was doing this to actively divert Saki's attention away from questioning things, and in some ways trying to overwhelm her with all this knowledge as a test for one, but also to basically be like, all right, now take this in and process this. And once you've kind of compartmentalized this is the story that we're dealing with here, well, no, then I can direct you. Now you're impressionable a little bit. Now I can bring you into see, because of this, you have to do it this way. I feel like it's just really good brainwashing. It's really, really good, effective stuff there where it's don't question it. We have these problems, they're this big. Our solutions should not be questioned. Just move along. And it's like, it worked. She's not questioning it right now.
And I think this is where we fundamentally disagree on like perspectives on things. I don't see this as brainwashing at all because she's telling her why they do it.
Right. I don't think she's telling her why they do it other than the hard facts of there were incidents in these specific cases where a lot of people died.
And so that's why we do it.
No, I know. But
because anytime like if someone is coming to you with like a thing that they're trying to convince you of, right? You could say that that's manipulation, but you could also say that they're like, no, I have a thing that's valuable and I need to show you why it's valuable, right? That is still an attempt to basically guide the person, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's an attempt to override their identity, will, critical thinking, etc. Right? Yep. And I feel like in this situation, it was something where because she was very upfront, it was if you come up with something better, cool. Like let us know. This is what we've got, and this is what you have to look forward to as the society that you're going to grow into.
Yeah, at that point.
Right.
At that point.
Yeah. It's not like she'd necessarily be listening to Saki's feedback right now.
No, exactly. But that's my point, is that this is not a purpose for her to receive anything from Saki. This is something where she needs to download into Saki as much as possible, as fast as possible, because she's scared. She's not doing this out of like I said earlier, the best possible situation. She is trying to convince, persuade, force an agenda, a specific model for the way they've done things, because she believes, oh, if she gets all this info here, she will see it this way.
Or at the very least, I will make her doubt whether poking and prodding things with her friends is a good idea, because this is why we don't want you to do that. This is,
Right, which is going to perpetuate the problem, and all her friends are going to die.
Right, and that's where I think that will come up, and then there will be a very interesting follow-up on this kind of conversation.
I am not treating the grandma like a god here, where she has the perfect viewpoint of everything. I am saying that the grandma is perpetuating the past by trying to
100%.
push her model, her mode into Saki, because she believes she can handle it. Saki, in some ways, I don't think can entirely handle it, because her response to this is one of, okay, I'm dealing with my emotions of, I don't understand why I'm crying because she doesn't remember Shun, but also okay, I need to get all this info as possible, but she doesn't question it. She just kind of takes it in.
Well, no, because it's not about whether the info is to be questioned. It's what you do with the info, right?
No, I understand, but that's where I have to adjust from the meta mind, the meta kind of perspective of the story is trying to move the exposition to the audience more so than it is trying to give Saki a full conversation here. This is an exposition dump.
Okay.
Saki, I feel like would have a couple more questions here. So I'm seeing it the other way of, rather than it being just an exposition dump, she's also trying to dump her brainwashed model of how the world should be run into Saki, which is probably, you're right on some level, that it's actually just cold exposition. We're trying to get things along here.
It's the grown-up that's like, no, I know what to do here. I've lived a long life. I have a lot of experience, and it's helped me in the past. And then it's the goal of it's the role of the new generation to be like, okay, I'll take what's good, but also that might not apply here, and so I have to then change it, wrestle with it, you know. And
it's also the thing of, think about everything that the society has done to these kids specifically, thinking that they were doing it the right way, and they're fucking it up. And then it's oh no, but she's got a pretty good perspective. No, I think the grandma needs to understand basically where her lack of perspective is, and needs to bring her in even faster and say, we need help. Like, if she opened to it, if she ever requested anything of Saki from the standpoint of, we need you to work with us, which she didn't do, then I would have a much more in line perspective with you here.
I feel like she did. But it wasn't there are some timely things that are about to happen, right? Mamoru's going to turn into a karmic demon probably, and there's probably a lot of other stuff that's going to happen with the other kids.
Yeah.
But from her perspective, yes, there was the situation with Shun, but we have it under control. We do need your help. You're not quite ready for this yet.
Nope.
And so get ready. Here's the first package.
You're not ready, so we're gonna make you ready.
But
that's my point, is that she's not ready. She is ready in that her scores are high enough that we're going to do this now, even though this is not necessarily the best time or way to do it.
Maybe it's pushed because of the stuff that her and her friends are doing, and so it's the, hey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why I would say that it is primarily a bit manipulative. It is trying to take advantage of the situation that she is in by having her scores be high enough that they're like, we don't care, we're going to do this now, we're going to push her to accept the mold so we can get things back on track, because there is actually a very genuine threat right now, and she's scared. And that's why this conversation happened. That's why she pulled her in one at a time. That's why this whole thing happened.
I see it as being more of a situation where it's the yes, she's trying to get Saki to do something, but it's more of like the don't touch the stove. Like, you're playing with fire. Get away from there.
Right. Right.
Like it's,
and yet what's going to happen with Mamoru and Maria is totally going to be a disaster because of their inadequacies.
If the society and the leaders and the grandma here was completely in the right and without fault, then there would be no reason for this story to happen, because there would be nothing that the new generation would be able to fix, add, smooth over, fill in the cracks for, because it would already, it's already a perfect system or whatever, and it's very much not. But it is a functioning system that is a hell of a lot better than the very real scary stuff that is out there.
Right. It's the combination, though, in my mind, Jacob, of where they say they're watching the kids, right? Where's Mamoru? 100%, if they're actually watching them all the time, which I assume they primarily are, they could have something as very like basic as, what was it, like there was like a bug
they were talking about
them.
the idea of like bugs could do that or stuff
exactly.
like that.
Let's just assume they're always watching them then, right? Mamoru has been taken care of, let's say, already. There was already an incident that was building up, and they're like, nope, we're cleaning the slate there, we're giving Mamoru to an impure cat of some kind or whatever, and that's it for them. What do they think is going to spill forth from that to the friends, right? Like this is a domino effect that they're basically hoping will stop with Saki, in my mind.
Right.
And it's we need to prepare you now because we don't actually have a good solution in place in general. And while we could, on some level, and this is where I think there's going to be something revealed here that makes this a little bit more fucky, is that I still think there's overseers. There's people above her.
Right,
That's
and they
why,
kind of talked about it with the difference between the ethics committee and the education committee.
Yeah, and
I like that.
I like that in that we didn't meet number one in the town, basically, yet.
Right. And there might not even be a singular number one.
Well, they did mention the girl.
No, but that was for the education committee.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily, like, it might be something where, like, ethics committee has its own jurisdiction or whatever, education committee has its own thing.
Right. But I think there's still a very real possibility that there's something above that, and it's okay, when your friends all end up getting ruined and stuff because we've already done the things there of this is the way it's going to go. We can't tell you any of that yet because we're still trying to manipulate you to become the perfect leader. And in order to do that, we need to either properly isolate you to where you literally have no choice, or it's you're going to end up actually putting into practice a lot of the things that we believe to be the right way to handle this on your own friends, so you'll know how important it is that it needs to be done this way. Okay, cool. So she's the important one. The others, who cares? We will set her up basically to be the best possible transition for the grandma here in the ethics committee. And, too bad Mamoru. Because if Mamoru is not with them right now, is not been taken by the society right now, they are really fucking up their jobs.
Yeah, what I'm guessing the situation is that Mamoru is in a similar-ish situation to Shun right now. Isolated, has the poison pills, or something like that, or whatever the society's current solution for it is, and then Saki and Maria and maybe Satoru are gonna run into Mamoru, and they'll have to basically, as a group, collectively figure out what to do. And because
which is super fucked, because then the society wants them to do that. Then, if they didn't want them to do that, they would wipe their memories. They would get rid of Mamoru immediately, basically.
Maybe I could see this being something where it's happening fairly quickly, and so they haven't been able to wipe their memories yet. But I think that's what she was kind of trying to do here, of the stop poking into this, right? Which would keep them from potentially getting it, becoming involved in this whole situation, right?
Right.
But because she doesn't agree with her right now, she's going to continue to do all this stuff. Oh, yes, Mamoru leaves behind a note, don't come looking for me. Of course, they, look for him, right? And then they're going to find him. And then Saki will then have to grapple with the question of, what do I do? What would my solution for the karmic demon thing be? Right.
Yeah, which is, well, on some level, I think personally, is what she did with Shun. Talk with them. Be there. Learn from them. Have a moment where you let your humanity be vulnerable in that space there. I think in some ways the terrifyingly simple thing is I don't think there is really a solution to the ogre problem. Some people can just end up being put into a shitty situation and become monsters.
Yeah.
Rather by birth or by environment.
Yeah.
And nature or nurture. You can make arguments for either one there. There's a whole
Keep
other
an eye
anime
out
about
on the nurture stuff and
right. There's a whole other anime about that called Monster you can get into with that discussion there. But the karmic demon thing is something completely different. That's just the idea of human beings having a really advanced computer system inside of us that desires to survive. And that's the subconscious, basically. We don't know entirely what it is, but it's something that actively works on our behalf on some level. But it is biological. It's it's a whole thing. I don't at least very understand it that well. But rather than try to just accept it as what it is, they're trying to suppress it, which is like trying to fight the universe. That's a dumb solution.
Well, my theory on this is that this is an emergent property of the response, the understandable but extreme response that they did to the ogre situation.
Right.
And
it's a domino.
And I would not have nearly as much understanding or patience for this society if not for the fact that this started 20 years ago.
No, I totally get that.
You know,
I think the show is very smartly handling it from the way their thing works, but the way this conversation went down, I do not agree with the way you kind of see it. But I totally get how you see it that way. For me, I have trouble separating the meta angle in that this is meant to be an exposition dump primarily.
Right, it's not the time for Saki to then ask questions of, but the memory thing isn't working, because we're still remembering that we forgot something.
Right,
so
which, again, since they've already altered memories and stuff, you have to assume that the way that they're doing this with the when they're not handling it, when they're absent, when the society has not got their hands in it, things are going the way they want it to.
Right.
When society puts their hands in, something is going wrong.
Right, and they're trying to adjust. Yeah.
Right, which means this is a control conversation. It is not trying to be helpful. The desire is to bring back order and control.
No, yeah, totally.
Right.
But again, it's not a parent's plan for a child to jump into a campfire,
totally.
You're absolutely trying to control the child to keep them away from the fucking campfire, right? It's the individuality and all that stuff.
Yes.
Not right now. Hold on, there's something a little bit more
important. Parents don't put numbers on their kids and then say, "Oh, well, you were just the lowest number, so."
Well, but again, that's not something that they did with the Karmic Demon stuff. That's something that they did with the ogre thing. And I didn't even get the vibe from her that was something that she was saying that is
No, I'm talking about the fact that she's the one in here having the conversation right now.
The Saki score thing?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, yeah, they don't, but I would... The score thing, that actually... That made a lot of sense to me of the... Hey, if we're going to have... If knowledge is so dangerous here, right, and you can have people freak out, and that's very much a thing,
right,
you would need some way to quantify Mamoru doesn't want to deal with this stuff. How can we know that beforehand so that we're not relying on, human communication and whether they tell us or not or whatever, so that way we can be like, yeah, they don't need to know about this stuff.
Right.
Hey, here's the situation, all that kind of deal. That, yeah. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this dynamic gets revisited in the future of the show, because now that this character's been introduced and we've had this conversation, there's definitely going to be a follow-up, I feel like.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's still a thing of where I see this as a problem. This conversation was one that happened because of things going badly. And
yes. 100%.
Thus I cannot trust her. I cannot trust her remotely. Everything that she is saying is towards a specific goal of perpetuating the society. And if we are so easily convinced, I would say, by this conversation of because of the way that we got here, these are the problems that we have, that's not addressing because of the present state of the way that we do things, this is the problems we're continuing to have, or just started to have, the Karmic Demons, for instance, which I agree with you. I totally give them a pass in that it's a recent thing in the scale of the 1,000 years of stuff since advent of psychics and stuff like that.
And given the dangerous stuff they're working with, this society is not one that this society has survived by probably not being very fast to change, right? Because if you experiment with something and it doesn't...
I disagree. They actually were very fast to change.
Well, okay, at the beginning,
they slaughtered anybody that could have remotely been an ogre. They moved the law to jump it all the way to 17 years. Kill any kid that has that. They were
totally
fast to change.
No, but they did that once a thing happened and 1,000 people are dead. That was I feel like that's the
Are you saying that the reason why the ogre happened at all was because they're being slow to change?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yes.
Right. It's the
we don't know what their story was before that. So.
Right. We know in broad strokes, but not really. But we're so invested in keeping this stable because we have something that we think is stable. There haven't been ogres in 80 years. Don't rock the boat, etc., etc. They ignore signs. An ogre happens, holy fuck, and then suddenly they're not in calm waters anymore. There's a storm. They think they might sink, and they're like, do something, and it's
horrifying.
Exactly. Yeah.
But all right. Yeah, this is where we're at. Y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if ain't that interests you, we'll see it there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.